I wanted to tell you that as soon as I saw this film, this is easily the most emotionally powerful film of the festival. I've seen maybe about 50 films so far, and it really is effective filmmaking on all sorts of levels. So I'm dying to talk to you to find out how you came to the subject, why you chose the subject. I think the last time I talked to you was about the ratings board, and this film is not yet rated. I know that you get passionate about particular topics. Why don't you talk about how you got into this particular subject for this very effective movie called The Invisible War?
Well, my producer, Amy Ziering, and I read an article in Salon, and it was about the epidemic of rape in the U.S. military that's been going on over the last several generations. And the numbers were so high that we initially didn't believe them, and we corroborated them, and then looked around to see, well, of course, there's got to be a film on the subject. No, there's no feature film on the subject. We were astounded, and really at that point we decided we really want to make a film about this subject.
Very good. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's first off, from the women's point of view, the movie starts off. I don't know if it's literally the beginning of the movie, but early on in the movie, you have this unbelievably powerful montage of woman after woman after woman recounting just basically the bare bones of what happened to them. They're all military women. They're all very in the most base kind of estimation. They're all pro-military. They're very patriotic and all. And yet each of them has unbelievable stories to tell. Talk about what their stories are about, why they're willing to talk to you, and why you focused on them.
Well, each of their stories are really devastating. I mean, these are women and a few men who really love their country, and they believed in serving their country. And very idealistic. They go in, and then they get... Actually, most of the people who assault in the military are serial perpetrators. So they get assaulted by a serial perpetrator, raped in most cases, and then everybody around them is telling them, don't report. If you report, the military will turn on you, your career will be over. They still believe enough in the system to report. They go ahead and report, and then what happens? The military turns on them. And this is something that all of them went in, loving the military, wanting a career in the military, and within a few years, they're forced out of the military. And also, they're destroyed psychologically, because being raped in the civilian world is devastating. It's hard enough. But in the military, it's much, much worse, because in the civilian world, you can leave. I mean, if you're raped and your boss rapes you, an associate rapes you, you can just leave. You can go to your family, you can go to some friends. In the military, you're stuck. And oftentimes, these are people working side by side with their perpetrators month after month after month.
Now, I would assume that you go into any occupation, any profession, any business, there are going to be bad things that happen, sexual assaults. So are you suggesting that there are more sexual assaults in the military, or it's the equal number, as horrendous as that is, and the military just doesn't know how to deal with it, or doesn't deal with it properly?
Well, certainly the military doesn't deal with it properly. This is a cover-up. This has been covered up for generations. I believe there are more assaults in the military, but we really don't know, because the military has not done the studies they need to. This is part of the cover-up. So this is something that's been going on. They've known about it for generations, and they haven't done anything. And this is why we made this film. I mean, this is one of the reasons we made this film, because not only did they not know, but the public did not know. We wanted to get this information out to the public. But we also wanted to make a film that it's not anti-military. It's saying that the people in the military, like you said, they love the military, but it's focusing on a very significant problem. And it's a very hard-hitting film that we wanted to impact the military and the administration to compel it to change policy. And that's been happening.
It has. Okay,
yes.
That's good. That's the good side
That's
of
the good side,
story.
yes.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. One of the things again, I'm not sure, about maybe halfway through the movie, you come up with a fascinating distinction and explanation of why it hits the military maybe harder than it does any other profession, and that is this idea of chain of command, that in any other aspect of society, what we do is we report it to the cops. We go to the police, we say, listen, I've been raped or I've been assaulted, and you let the judicial courts deal with it. In the military, you don't report it to the police, in effect. You report it to your superior. Talk about this idea of chain of command and how that gets in the way of perhaps justice.
Exactly. When you're in the military, everything is chain of command. You have to go up through your chain of command. So if you're in a unit, you might be in a unit of 100 people, 200 people, you have to report it to your commander. Your commander knows each one of these people individually. He may he or she may be friends with the perpetrator. He or she may be getting a unit ready to go over to war, and they feel like they need this assailant more than they need the victim. So, of course, they're going to be an incredible conflict of interest situation, and they're going to have all kinds of motivation to cover it up. Even more, they're going to say, look, if there's an assault in my unit, that's going to say something about my command. I'm going to keep it covered up. So that's why this has been covered up for so long, because it's been covered up at the commander level.
Now, you do have, I don't know how official the response is, but this is not completely one-sided in that it's not just the accusers, the accusers, the accusers. You do get the, I don't know if you consider it the PR side, but you get the military side. Explain to me what their defense is, and do you buy it?
Well, their defense has always been that, like you said, that there's rape in the civilian world and there's rape in the military. Now, the rape in the military, as we know, is much more devastating. But the military also has much more control over its troops as compared to the civilian society over the members of society. They could change this. They could initiate the investigation, prosecution, and incarceration that one needs to go after these serial perpetrators. Because I want to say that it's most commanders and most men in the military are horrified by this. And they are aware that this is going on and in many cases can't do anything about it. But it is a small percentage of serial perpetrators that do this again and again and again. And the more they get away with it, the more it encourages other serial perpetrators who have this inclination to sexually assault people to get away with it.
And the military accepts this? Do they ever accept this on record? For instance, you have Leon Panetta testifying at Congress says, we don't brook any of this. This is an outrage. We are as outraged as you are about it. And yet, nothing seems to change, at least very dramatically.
Well, it hasn't for a long, long time. It's starting to change. And again, I think this film had a lot to do with it. I mean, we spoke to a two-star general who was the highest-ranking person in the chain of command to deal with these issues. She'd been on her job for a few months, and she had not yet even spoken with the survivor. Mm-hmm. So I think there's such a disconnect between the people at the general and admiral level and the troops that are getting assaulted. And that's one of the things this film has done is we've shown it to very high-ranking officers, and they are devastated when they see this. These are men and women who want to protect their soldiers, and they just saw it as statistics. And I think that's when they see this film and they see these wonderful soldiers that being destroyed, losing these soldiers, they are motivated to do something about it.